Good morning everyone, today we're going to be talking about why you should be upgrading your gear right now. But before we jump into all of that, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily, so if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. So the very first thing I want to talk about is why should you be upgrading right now? And the answer is relatively simple. It's because they just introduced the level 4 capsules. Sure, we had Mastery 4 for quite some time, however they're making it extremely easy to get Mastery 4s with the introduction of the seasonal events and just buying it from the seasonal shop. That's super easy to get Mastery 4, which is really nice. But more importantly, we've got our Dreadkeeper 4s, we got our Stat 4s, we got our Giga Stat 4s, we've got our Alt Secreta 4s. Basically there's a lot of free stats right there which you can get relatively inexpensively, which is why it's a very good time to try to upgrade your gear, try to get everything to as max as you possibly can, because that way it future proofs your character all the way until June when we get the new Ultra Evolution update or whatever they're going to call it. Because I can guarantee you in June when that update comes in, all of our gear is going to be obsolete. We're going to be upgrading to new, better gear, and everything that we currently have, even if we do get Stat 5s and Mastery 5s and all of that stuff, it's not going to be comparable with the Ultra Evolution update of whatever new gear that we get then. So right now you have a 6-month window on where you can perfect your gear right now, then you won't need to upgrade at all until June, which gives you 6 months to hoard up a ton of Meseta, a ton of Star Gems, a ton of resources, so that when we do get that crazy update, you'll have a bunch of resources and you can immediately max out whatever new gear that you want when that update kicks in. But with all of that being said, I want to show off my stats over here because I believe the way that I've upgraded my gear is probably the middle of the pack. Like, I haven't gone full glass cannon, I haven't gone pure potency, I haven't gone anything too extreme. It's kind of the balanced build is what I personally think that my build is. And if we look at my stats over here, it's nothing too crazy. My battle power is 3,274, my HP is 920, I've got 162 photon power, my attack is 2,290, and my defense is 1,140. Now, of course, I have a metric butt ton of damage resistance. However, we can't see that stat yet. However, in the January update, we will be able to see that stat in our basic information. And when we get that update, I'll show you guys my damage reduction, but it's really high. It's like 50, almost 60% damage reduction, which is why I'm a huge fan of my build, because it fits my playstyle very well. Because there are times where I want to farm Recon Gigantics, but you know that time where you can't get into the room. On Ship 2, there's usually 2 rooms that are full in the Drayson plant where there are 32 players. However, sometimes you just can't get in no matter how hard you try. Well, with my build, I can just go solo Recon Gigantics, all 5 of them vs me, and I'm perfectly fine because of how much damage reduction I have, how much HP, how tanky I am. So it's super duper easy. And on top of that, I do have 71% potency. Now, my build is not complete. My build is actually far from complete, but let me show you what I have so far. So the first thing I want to show off is, of course, my armor. I am using the Ephetus Armor Arga, so it is plus 50. Hopefully later down the line when we get it to plus 60, we get the extra augment slot, because I do want to put Gigas Might 4 over here so that I can boost up my potency and farm even more efficiently. As for my Dreadkeeper, I'm still using Dreadkeeper 3. I do need to change this to Dreadkeeper 4 as soon as I farmed enough. I'm avoiding the player market because you know me, I just like to farm everything myself. It gives me a little bit more content to do. It gives me a purpose to actually log into the game and farm for things, because instead of buying anything, I literally just farm for all the stuff that I need. The only thing that I actually did buy are, of course, the Addy capsules, because as you guys know, there's no other way to obtain Addy capsules other than the player market or by scratching. And so I did have to go through the player market to get my Addy capsules. So if we look at page 2 over here, these are my current stats. Each armor piece gives me 75 HP, 11 photon power, 15.3% melee potency, and the rest is just extras. However, once I get Dreadkeeper 4, I'm gonna get a whopping 95 HP per armor, which is very nice. And on top of that, I'm also gonna get 14 photon power per armor, which is also super nice. And then once we actually get our 6th augment slot, I'm actually gonna be able to boost my weapon potency potency from 15.3% up to 18.3% because I'm going to throw in Gigas Might 4. But remember, Gigas Might 4 actually gives you an extra 20 HP, so I'm actually going to be like at 105 HP, which is going to be very, very cool per armor piece. So that'll definitely help me break through the 1000 HP barrier, which is pretty cool. You know, I just like to have a ton of HP, a ton of tankiness, all that damage resistance, and basically Gigas will never kill me. Like the Recon Gigantics right now, I think I need to take like 3 hits in a row to die at my current build. So imagine with all of that extra HP and all of that extra damage resistance, I'm just gonna be freaking God mode. It's gonna be freaking amazing. However, I just want to remind everyone that if you are using the Tenebro weapons over here, and if you do have a Fixa Fatale level 4 or level 5, you can actually save a lot of money in your augments over here. For example, you don't need to go Addy Deft whatever, because you don't need this floor potency, simply because you have a lot of critical hit rate because of the Tenebro weapon potential over here, where it actually gives you 15% critical hit rate. And then if you have a Fixa Fatale level 5, that actually gives you additional 13% crit rate. So that's really, really good, because on top of all of that, if you've been working on your add-on skills, and if you main Braver by the way, you definitely should try to max out your critical hit rate up as the Braver add-on skill, because that gives you 10% critical hit rate up, and your character has 5% critical hit rate by default, so it's 15% over here, plus your Tenebro weapon potential, which gives you another 15%, so that's 30% critical hit rate already without the Fixa Fatale. You get the Fixa Fatale with the extra 13% right there, and boom, you have 43% critical hit rate. And once you have that much crit rate, there is absolutely no need to build any floor potency. So the Dread Keepers, you don't really need Dread Keeper unless you're like me and you really like the HP, the PP, as well as the damage resistance. Then sure, that's perfectly fine, but you will not benefit as much from the potency floor increase, because all you're going to be doing is you're going to be critting. You're basically like 50% crit rate, so you're just going to be critting all day every day, so there's no need for the potency floor increase. So you can save like 5 million Meseta per Addy capsule, because you don't need to go the expensive Deft versions, and you could just go with like HP increase or PP increase or whatever that you personally want for your build. Heck, you can even go with the Addy Ward capsules, which are the cheapest ones. I believe they're like 800,000 or something, just to make sure that you don't have any negative status elements over here, because on my ship 4 character, I actually went with the Doldora souls, and man, my resistances are so bad on ship 4 that like every other hit that I take, I get frozen, and it just drives me nuts. I really, really hate it. So yeah, you can definitely just go with the Addy Ward capsules, save yourself a ton of money, but this is only assuming that you have a metric butt ton of critical hit rate. So 40% critical hit rate or above is probably what I would like to settle on. Personally, I would prefer 50%, but I don't actually know if it's possible to get that high, but I just like a lot of critical hit rate. However, I know a lot of you guys just want to build the maximum amount of potency, and you guys are wondering, okay, Kara, what augments should I be using? Well, as you can see over here, here is a 115% potency build. Now keep in mind that this potency is a hidden number, because it does include your food buffs, include Blight Round, Shiftas, and all of the other buffs in order to get a 115% potency. This is not the potency that will show up on your stat sheet, just giving you guys that heads up, because I know a lot of people are a little bit confused on how the calculations work. So we're going to scroll down here, and I'm going to show you guys what augments are used here. So first of all, we are using a Tenebro weapon with a Fatale level 5. So as you can see over here, you're getting 15% critical hit rate from the weapon potential, and on top of that, from the Fixa Fatale 5, you're getting another 13% critical hit rate. The reason why we're going with high crit rate is because we are going raw potency here, and we are throwing floor potency out of the window. Now over here, as for the Addy capsule, you can use whatever Addy capsule you want over here. We've actually replaced Mastery 4 with Stia Domina. The reason for this is because Stia Domina gives 3% potency versus Mastery 4 that only gives you 2.5%. However, keep in mind that Mastery 4 does give you a lot more value, because you are getting damage resistance, you're also getting floor potency, and you're getting regular potency. But since we're going a full glass cannon build, we don't care about that, and we only want raw potency. Next up is going to be Dust Soul 4. Now you can use whatever soul you want, as long as it gives 3% potency. That's literally the only thing we care about. As for Ice Exploit 2, the reason why we're using this is because the Tenebro weapon is an ice elemental weapon, and the only time we're really going to be using this is against Gigantics in the Stia region, which are weak to ice. So instead of getting 3% potency boost with your stat 4 or your might 4, we can actually get a 4% potency increase with Ice Exploit 2 instead, which gives you even more potency, which is very good. And then of course we're going with Gigas Might 4, and these are the 5 augments we're going to be using on our weapon. Now for our armors, it's going to be a little bit different because we can't actually put Ice Exploit 2 on our armor because it's, that's just not possible. However, we will be using the Eclair Suit armor. The Eclair Suit armor does give 4% potency versus the Ephetus armor that only gives you 3% potency. So again, we're getting that 1% extra potency. However, we are losing some damage resistance, so 5% damage resistance. We also lose some HP as well as some PP. So keep that in mind that you are sacrificing a lot of quality of life and defensive stats in order to get this 1 extra potency. So personally, I don't really recommend this build. However, if you are hell-bent on like, hey, I only want the most damage physically possible, then yes, you are going to want to go with the Eclair Suit armor. Then on top of that, as for your augments over here, again, we want to go with Stia Domina instead of Mastery 4 because raw potency. Now, as for the Addy capsule, you don't have to go with the Death Mail Raw. You can go with any Addy capsule as long as it gives 3% potency, then you're good to go. Then again, with the Boss Soul, anything that gives 3% potency. And then right here, we're actually going with Stat 4 with the 3% potency because we can't actually put Ice Exploit 2 on our armors because it just doesn't exist. So the next best thing is, of course, whatever gives the highest potency, which is going to be Might 4. And the last augment that we have is a Gigas Might 4 or Gigas Stat 4 for another 3% potency. So you're probably seeing a trend over here, right? Basically, whatever gives 3% potency is going to work on your armors as well as your weapons. Those are the main things that you want to look at. Now for your weapon, you do get the exception of being able to put Ice Exploit 2 if you are using the Tenebro weapons. However, if you're not using this, then you're just going to put Stat 4 instead and get the 3% potency, which works for everything instead of the Ice Exploit 2, which only works for enemies which are weak to the ice element. And with all of that gear as well as augments with Shifta and food buffs as well as blight rounds, you're going to gain a total potency of 115.39%. So this is a ton of damage. However, do keep in mind that you are going to be a little bit on the squishy side, so you do need to be a little bit careful with this build specifically because yeah, you take a lot of damage since you don't really have any defensive stats, since all of your augments are hyper focused on potency only. However, you can do the exact same build. However, instead of using the Eclair Suit armor, you can use the Ephetus armors instead, and it'll give you a little bit more defensive stats if you just want more of a middle ground. I personally prefer to go the Ephetus armor simply because it's just more balanced. You're losing 1% potency, but you're getting a lot more additional stats. You're getting the HP, you're getting the PP. You don't have the damage resistance reduction, which is very nice as well. So personally, I prefer the Ephetus armors. However, again, it really depends on your playstyle. If you're all about perfecting your craft, never getting hit, dodging everything, then Eclair Suit armor is going to pull ahead and is going to give you a ton of damage. So in conclusion, I highly recommend that you upgrade your armors as well as your weapons and just gear up to as strong as you possibly can, because basically you're going to be able to use this gear and carry yourself for the next 6 months until we get the Ultra Evolution update where we're all going to just renew our gear again. So think of it as, okay, I'm investing a ton of money or a ton of resources or a ton of time right now because this gear is going to carry me over for the next 6 months. If you think about it that way, then spending 10 million, 20 million, 30 million Meseta doesn't seem so bad. However, if you want to be like me and you just like to play the game and you're trying to find content to do in NGS, just don't buy anything and farm everything yourself. It'll give you a little bit more of a purpose on why you're logging in every day, why you're farming for things, and you can slowly see the progression of your character as you slowly get stronger. However, I know this isn't for everyone because a lot of people get burnt out, they get bored very, very quickly. So if you're that type of person, it's perfectly fine to just buy off the market, get all of your gear, become ultra strong right now, and you're good to go. However, here's a little heads up. Don't forget, with the new seasonal events coming in, those seasonal shops do have a lot of very powerful capsules. You're going to be able to get your Mastery 4 capsules, some Giga Stat 4 capsules. It's going to save you a ton of Meseta. I'm talking like millions of Meseta, by the way. So I definitely recommend people to be a little bit patient and not to pull the trigger right now to buy everything off the market, because you might regret it later down the line, as all the prices will crash sooner or later.
Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again.
But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye!
What can I say except you're welcome for the heals that boosts the res?